What is up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. We are here with another Formula 1 livery, and this time we are looking at the first ever Force India car. Now, this is a very far cry from what we're used to in most recent years, being the pink car, and even before that, you know, the black and orange was traditionally its usual colour scheme. But in this case, we've got a very different car. White and orange being the car that almost scored a points in the 2008 season around Monaco. Now, that race was definitely a very sad one for Adrian Sutil, who came so close to scoring points. I think it was for the first time in his career, let alone for the team as well. So obviously this team was an evolution of Spyker from 2007 and obviously became Force India for the first year, and it was an interesting season to say the least. Obviously it was kind of a building block, shall we say, for the team, going into what ended up being a pretty successful team in Formula 1, to be fair, given what budget they had. But once again, this car was made by JB. Not that you'd expect anything different. This car looks so nice, and it's so, I guess you could say, unique in its livery. Not many cars are white for a start, and then to have like the gold and the red and the orange, like, it's just such a cool car. And obviously I had to drive around Monaco, very similar to what we did with the Toro Rosso, but obviously bit sunnier conditions than we had in Monza. But nonetheless, we are on the way. We made up a few positions already, diving here down the inside of the Renault, and I believe that's our teammate just ahead of us. But this Renault is not going away anytime soon. He actually pinches us into the wall. Not very friendly from him, to say the least, but it's going to be a parking lot down here into the hairpin, as it always is. And trying to see if we can sneak a few positions. We came so close to our teammate there. We're going to have to be a little bit of a push from the Ferrari. We probably underestimated that just a little bit. And speaking of the Ferrari, I actually made a mod of the 2007 Ferrari on this car chassis. So if you haven't seen that, go follow my Twitter. That's where I post all that stuff like that, and I will make a video on that at some point or another. But I've got a few video series I want to kind of do first in the meantime. Two that I'm definitely excited for, and others that I've alluded to in the past that I kind of want to push out there. Obviously it's going to take some time to actually get that done, but coming through to this very tight swim pool section of the circuit, we're kind of bouncing off the walls a little bit, which is really weird because I was running the simulation damage as I always do, but for whatever reason this car is just built like a tank and it just had no damage whatsoever. I had to check a few times that it was definitely on simulation damage, but I'm going to go the long way around the outside of the Renault into turn 1. We get a little bit of a tap on the rear end, but we managed to control that. We obviously lose quite a bit of time to P13 and all the cars that are obviously ahead at this point, but we're going to try and claw that back as best we can. We've got some pretty decent pace in this car. This car obviously definitely one of those things that it feels very good. Obviously, again, if you guys haven't watched the Toro Rosso video and are not familiar with what chassis this is the 2008 McLaren, but obviously fresh new paint job to make it the 2008 Force India car. Now with the 2007 Ferrari that I touched upon, it's going to be very diverse. A lot of people will like it, a lot of people will hate it, just for the pure fact that the F2007 is in this game. We've overtaken one or two cars, and obviously traditionally if you make a mod of a car, especially if the car is already available in the game, you do not go elsewhere. But obviously I made an exception for this, and I'll be honest guys, it looks so good. It looks super good, so keep your eyes peeled for that. If you're new around here, please do subscribe to make sure that's out there. And again, perfect example of simulation damage just not working around here. I thought about chucking up the inside there, but I thought better of it. It's probably not a good idea, but yeah, I think about 3 or 4 times I checked to see if it was on simulation damage, because I just couldn't believe it, that I took some heavy impacts and it just wasn't there. I didn't know if it was just a glitch or a bug or something like that, but unfortunately not. It's just this car probably built out of Kevlar, if anything. So, but coming through on lap 3, about halfway through the race, and we've got 2 more Ferraris just ahead of us. It's going to be hard to obviously catch up to any cars higher up than that, but again, we bounce off the walls and it's fine. It's so confusing, it really is. But again, these 2 Ferraris are probably be our only people we can overtake. If we can't get past these guys at slab, it's going to be really hard for us. We might fancy a move coming into the chicane. It looks like he's going to fancy moving to the chicane as well. They go side by side. We miss our braking point, and we didn't actually, well, we got a penalty for that. We think about letting him through, but there's not much point. But we'll have a look at a replay and let's see what happens. So they go for a move. Obviously that catches us out. We miss them, and we must tap them to a certain degree, but ultimately the F2002 ended up going into the wall on the inside, which is quite a common thing for AI around Monaco. They'll just turn in early and just ruin their car. So it looks like the simulation damage works well for everyone bar ourselves. But again, it's very hit and miss. We managed to clear them two in rather good time. We managed to clear both of them in that lap, which obviously puts us on target. Try and catch up to P11, which I believe Williams. Just looking at it from my preview screen, it looks like a Williams anyway. I can see white and blue, but yeah, it's crazy how inconsistent this game is. Tonight we've actually got the esports 2 as well as the virtual GP, and it's gonna be interesting to see how the game's gonna break tonight. It always breaks in one way or another, and I'm sure that tonight will be no different. But yeah, it's definitely as a Williams. We've got, I believe, 2 Williams just ahead of us, so if we get past both of them, then we would be in the points. We obviously didn't manage to do that in the Toro Rosso video or the 2020 Renault gameplay I did with the driver swap. Again, if you haven't seen that, do go check that out. It's very cool that obviously the names are changed for the 2020 season drivers and stuff like that. We're going to have a look at Williams into the chicane, not really much doing. It's really slow on traction is the Williams. I expected it to be quite higher up, to be honest with you. Again, bouncing off the wall like nobody's business, but we're all out of shape coming through here. We managed to not actually lose the back end. He locks up, kind of spooks me a little bit. I wasn't exactly sure where it was going to go. We might have a look around the outside here, or potentially get a switchback move on the Williams. There's not exactly enough room to actually manage that here. Unfortunately, that might be it's not the end of the world. You can see we try and close up down the straight, but he's got so much better straight line speed than us. He locks up actually, which obviously gives us a little move on the inside. It was a bit cheap cutting the curb like that, but at the same time he locked up, so I didn't really have anywhere else to go. Again, I hit the wall for like the 12th time this video, and we almost lose it through there again, in the wall again. But I'm not losing anything on my car. Obviously if I lost something, then it'd be pretty obvious because it will hinder you around Monaco. I get a little tap up the rear, which sends us a little bit wide, which obviously is not ideal, but yeah, it doesn't look like we're going to catch 10th place. So we can just hold off these guys. That is what we're going to do the best. We have to defend maybe into the chicane here, just because that Williams straight line speed is so much better than ours. The 2008 McLaren, not really known for its straight line speed. We've got to go into the braking zone, and didn't have any challenge from him there, and that's a relatively clean chicane to say the least. But coming into the final few corners of this circuit, really cool car to drive. It's obviously on the eyes, it's obviously quite nice to have a bit of a different car, and obviously this isn't exactly a very common car, or this livery to say the least. It was around for one season, which in Formula 1 terms isn't that notorious. A lot of teams usually rinse the same livery for a few years at least, McLaren being one of those specifically. But that's been it for the Monaco Grand Prix. Come P12, because we had a time penalty from that incident with the 2 Ferraris, that probably was a little bit unfair. But next one, you never know, with the Ferrari we might end up actually getting in top 10, scoring some points. But that's been it, guys. I hope you've enjoyed. If you're new around there, please subscribe for more content, and I'll see you in the next video.